You are about to receive messages that may be harmful to your mental state. Your sense of reality will be questioned. Your view on things will be altered. You are now part of the Meta. The Meta controls everything. The Meta determines what will and will not happen. You are watching The Meta Show.
We're live!
Yes! James.
Here we are.
Hi!
Hi!
How you been? You were here last week.
Alive.
You missed fun.
I missed fun.
Wait, you weren't here. Was it last week or the week before?
I was here last week.
Wait, was I here last week? Yes, I was! That's right! My dad got in an accident. I forgot. Yeah, so... Yeah,
time is a flat circle. That's what I'm getting.
I found out more stuff about that, by the way.
About time being a flat circle? Or
no, about my dad's accident that happened last Saturday. So the drunk driver hit him about 30 mile an hour, so it wasn't too bad, but it messed up my dad's truck. Then got out, made sure my dad was okay, gave my dad all his information while stumbling. The guy fell over twice. And then goes, okay, you're fine, got in his truck, drove home. Police found him at the house, passed out drunk.
Wow. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so my dad's okay. And then it got even better. So he went to the racetrack that night. Because he drag races, right? He's like, fuck this. I'm not letting this ruin my day. And his truck is all messed up on the one side. He then goes to the racetrack, gets 2 pre-runs in. Everything's great. Goes to the 3rd run and ruins his rear end. The rear axle where it connects to the drive shaft just shattered. So he had like a double whammy hit him.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, bad luck. But yeah, so we're here. We're here.
So I'm getting some comments about the redness of my shirt. It is very red, and also my pallor. I'm a little bit pale today.
Yeah, it's because
for some reason. So I moved offices. My office is where my bedroom used to be. It's much bigger now and has been redesigned. And for some reason, the new version of Skype doesn't have an automatic white balance thing on it, so I need to wrestle with my drivers to unfuck that. So yes, you're not crazy. I am like an interview with the vampire mode today. Yeah,
we're also having things go on the fly. Usually our beautifully wonderful producer, Jay Amaziness, gives us these wonderful notes. And I've gotten so used to that I didn't even think to like look up stuff to talk about. And then we had this big op, and then I think Jay died. And so we lost our producer for today. So we have a lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of things happened. And yeah, it's been kind of crazy. Goons Online to Keepstar. We'll talk about what happened with that and how that fight went. We'll also talk about the Keepstar fight that was supposed to happen today. Why that didn't happen and what went on with that. And also the MER came out. Monthly Economic Report came out. And as to be expected, thanks to the hard work of NGSA, our dear friends in Declan are in the tank. And they're in the tank pretty hard.
It's been a surprisingly active week in EVE. We started out, I guess, with for weeks now. EVE has been very quiet. Actually, I'd say for months. Not too much has been happening, and then suddenly everything exploded all at once, sort of World War I style. Franz Ferdinand, I guess, getting assassinated, kind of analogy here. And was it Franz Ferdinand, or is that just an album?
Yeah, no, it's Franz Ferdinand. He was the guy assassinated during World War I, and then that led to the start of World War I.
He was Archduke Ferdinand, but I wasn't sure it was Franz or...
Archduke Franz Ferdinand, yeah. He was assassinated by grenade, I think? Or he was shot, one of the...
Crazy anarchists.
Yes! No, he was Archduke.
Anywho.
Yeah. Archduke, there we go. Austro-Hungarian Archduke, yeah, that guy. Anyhow,
so, I mean,
shit's going on in EVE. Like, the world has gone on fire all of a sudden. And I blame Test. I blame
it's essentially like the big setup for what's been going on in EVE has been, at least the way that I see it, and so here's the spin zone here, is things really sort of got started when Test and the Legacy Coalition humiliated Pandemic Legion by preventing PL's takeover of all the Pravi outposts. And so after that happened, PL decided to throw in against Test recently, along with Triumvirated Fraternity and all these other people who are sort of on Legacy Coalition's flank. And now, of course, this has gotten the Imperium involved because fuck PL and fuck NC Dot. And so we have gone north. We deploy this Keepstar in 6 RCQ. Meanwhile, there was an error in timing. Like, Test is going to attempt to defend a Keepstar today. We don't expect it to survive based upon what we're seeing so far, but who knows? Maybe it will.
I'm not
thank you for this. Oh, awesome. So thank you to the Vault 1999. We got some resubs here. Ralos resubs, 27 months, 34 months. Excellent.
So
thank you very much, guys.
To explain this, I guess the World War I analogy would be a great analogy, because right before this started with Test in the south and us in the north, you had the fall of an empire in the colonial states that was the Drone Lands, right? The Drone Lands just collapsed overnight. And
subs, all of them, 44 months.
Holy
Sorry.
Shit.
Nice.
So, yeah, Iceburn, 44 months, a whole bunch of actual new subs. We've got 4 new subscribers. Hey, Rust, how's it going? Wow, did all our subs just come through at once?
Yeah, apparently. Hildefer, 41 months. Jesus Christ.
Mad Viking, thank you.
We'll get to see at least one Keepstar fight today.
Yes, and I'll be honest, I will quote Pro God Legend on this. He is going to form a fleet, and we may see him stream on INN for the first time ever. Just saying, that might happen. So let's go into detail of what's going on. So to use the World War I analogy to its extent, you had the fall of the drones. Okay, the drones cascaded. Skill U and the anti-imperial groups invaded the drones and drove the drones out. They set everyone free. The renters, or you could say like the colonists, were set free. And it kind of, you saw the collapse of empires in the drones. So the drones dies. Well, then you have CVA, and CVA is about to get evicted. They're about to get headshot. Test rolls in. Test wipes out PL right before patch day, saves all of these stations, and PL is pissed. So PL starts the meme war. And the reason I'm calling it that is it's literally a revenge of honor, to quote one of the Test FCs. PL feels like their honor was busted and broken in the fight versus Test and CVA, because Test pretty much humiliated them. And so they're trying to get revenge. So they've hired everyone in EVE that is not blue to us. And that is an unironic statement. There isn't a single 0-0 entity in the game not involved in this war in some kind. And Test has been invaded. And the battle that is about to happen tonight is a final timer for a Keepstar. This Keepstar was originally reinforced 15 minutes prior to it swapping over to a more favorable U.S. prime time. The first timer this thing got reinforced on was 15 minutes before it moved to like a Wednesday at like 2 Eve. So now the final timer is at 2200 Eve on a Saturday.
Pretty much the worst possible time.
Yeah, the worst time in Eve. Like, you couldn't get any worse.
Let's see. Yeah, we are really just having an awful lot of, I mean, I blame myself for this. We're having a lot of terrible, like, World War analogies here in chat.
Well, it's a great analogy when you think about it, because all of a sudden you had everybody building up, and then in one snap, the entire universe is now at war. Literally, the whole universe. There isn't a single player in the game that's not fighting in this war in some way.
Cranky old nerd threw some bits at the screen. That is...
Yay!
That's always
500,
interesting.
that's nice, thank you. That's $5 for those that don't know, by the way.
So yeah, I mean, just to sort of back things up a bit, like we've already seen a few curious things happen in this war. First of all, Legacy Coalition and the Imperium being blue is really, I mean, it's a logical progression in an event of PL and NC being against both the Imperium and Test, but you know, abruptly setting all of Legacy blue is not something that I had expected to do anytime soon. I didn't think it would be necessary, but here we are. You know, it really is curious, because it wasn't too long ago that we had 9TAC4 where, you know, we were kind of cranky with Test. I mean, whereby we were kind of cranky with Test. I mean, I was pissed off at Pro God Legend. And, you know, one of the challenges is, like, avoiding having your ego get in the way of realpolitik. And I did let my ego kind of get in the way there. We'll have to see how this all plays out. But... the one thing that can bring Legacy and the Imperium together is a shared disgust with Pandemic Legion. But what's strange in terms of the strategic play here is that PL and NC Dot have split up. For the first time in living memory, PL has allowed NC Dot and vice versa to go someplace and leave themselves vulnerable. Usually PL and NC Dot are bound together and they claim that they're totally independent, whatever, but they always keep their supers together.
And it's an interesting twist. At least made this point when we were doing our Keepstar timer. Pandemic Horde is working with NC on this one, not with PL. For those who don't know, PL and NC Dot have never been inseparable. They probably never will be inseparable, just kind of like Goons and Initiative and all of our allies aren't going to separate anytime soon. But this is the first time their super fleets have been apart. Even if they deploy subcaps to different places, like recently NC Dot was attacking Aquarius while PL was in CVA space, their super fleets were still touching each other. They were docked at the same Keepstar. This is the first time they've ever separated those. Ever. In the games since going back when they became NCPL together. So that's a big deal. I have a map to show you, and this was drawn recently by someone, and it's a great image into what's going on. I'll try to get it open here, but basically the state of EVE over the next months is going to look just like this. And if you think I'm joking, this is probably the first time since, I would venture to say, the first time since Serenity that we've seen it like this. So here's the map. See if I can get it big enough here. This is literally how EVE is going to look for the next few months. It is literally in half right now. Like, just if you took EVE, chopped the motherfucker in half, save maybe a bit of low sec. This is what.
Well, I mean, I think the little sort of kidney bean shaped thing there, that's Cloud Ring there, right?
That's Cloud Ring, but they're all blue to us.
A tiny little area of formerly neutral type people.
Yeah, so they're blue to us before this picture was taken. But to give you an idea, I mean, this is what we're looking at EVE, right? It is literally half versus half. Their half, our half. The difference between the two halves here is our half actually makes their money via work and like actual players making their own money in capitalism. The other half has renters, and that's where they make their money. They don't mind their own moons. They don't mind their own belts, and if they do, their own people have to be in rental corps to do it. It's not like they can actually do it from internal PLNC fleets. So they even put their own people in rental groups. So it's a vastly different economic structure. What does that difference mean going forward? It's a big deal. Okay, what they can do is in the south first test, they can draw a line in the sand, as it were, put all of their dudes on the edge of that line, and everything behind it be rental space, and still make money. Whereas Test and them make their money through living in their space.
Well, Test also has renters, from what I understand. I actually don't.
Flipped. Didn't they?
I don't know if all of them flipped.
Because I remember right before this war started, didn't Test like kick out a bunch of renters for not paying? Like an entire region got wiped out.
I really don't know, actually.
Yeah. Okay.
If we had somebody from Test to be able to let us know, that would be interesting. But like,
I could do
our
that.
economic system is like totally separate from
the rest of EVE at this point.
Well, no, I mean, our economic system is separate from the rest of EVE. So, like, I don't really understand how everybody else is really supposed to make all this money from renters, because in practice it doesn't really work out that well. Right. But we don't really want to give. I don't know. The thing is curious, because what we're doing, like, if you contrast what we're doing on the north versus what Pandemic Legion and their allies are doing in the east and the south, is we are not fighting a SOV campaign. Like, we do not. The Imperium does not want more territory. We do not want new space. We already have the best space. We're cool with it. We're just going to stay down here and make tons of money, more Titans. Thank you. But you are seeing more of a traditional style of Intosis campaign against the Legacy Coalition. So we're pushing north to cause destruction and to sort of turn off their economic engine. Actually, Boat, for people who don't know, could you explain to us what you have created with the NGSA? Because it really is like the monthly. This is a good segue into the monthly economic report, because we can talk about what you have done, what the Imperium is doing in the north, and how it's reflected in the MER.
For a very long time in EVE, people have tried to weaponize autism. It's the best way to put it. And I can say this because my fiance is autistic, and it's hilarious. If you know an autistic person, when they set their mind to something, it's very hard to get them to do something else. It becomes a struggle. But if you can get them focused on a thing that you want them to focus on, it can change the entire of EVE, right? We've seen it happen many a time. In the past, in EVE, many groups, we'll use Pandemic Horde for example, have tried to AFK camp a region. Okay, so if we look at SMA for example, okay, SMA was AFK camped by Pandemic Horde. The way Pandemic Horde did it is they threw newbies at the problem. They took people who had never played the game, convinced them that cloaky camping was the best thing you could ever do in your life, and they burnt through people like candy, thousands a week, right? You get new people to join the game from our EVE, go join Pandemic Horde, play a week cloaky camping, go this is shit, and quit, right? It had a very rapid cycle. Then about a year ago, Slice leader, Right Rick, got funding from NC to the tune of about 100 billion ISK, maybe up to 200 billion ISK, to fund AFK camping Delve. It failed miserably. Okay? Now that it's been about a month of AFK camping in Declan, I'll reveal the secret of why it failed miserably. And this is a meta show first. It failed miserably because standing fleets stopped this. If you're willing to put the effort to protect your space with a standing fleet, JU Standing is a prime example of one of the best standing fleets ever made in the game, cloaky camping is irrelevant. Cloaky campers themselves are not scary. They have a cloak, they're in a T1 frigate, they can't hurt you, right? Me and my T1 frigate is not going to kill your ratting hell. What's going to kill your ratting hell is what comes behind that cloaky frigate, right? If that cloaky frigate has a Sino and you land and then your hell dies, which is what we did this week. As we dropped our Keepstar, we killed a hell that morning, right? So what we did was we looked at the problem. Wild and I were having a discussion because we tend to bounce ideas off each other. And I was like, well, what happens if we weaponize goons? What happens if we take the entire alliance and AFK camp a place? I've done it with Bomberwolf, where I've camped a constellation and made it so one alliance had a hard time making money because the way GOTG works, but never tried it on an alliance scale. So I said, okay, let's throw money at the problem. We're rich. We'll pay people to camp, and in the form of skulls. You know, they kill a hell, they get a billion ISK. They kill a super, they get a billion ISK. They kill a Rorqual, they get a billion ISK, right? We've already burnt through 10 billion. And now we've got, let me get you the exact numbers. I think it's over 300 at this point. People camping in 68 systems. So
I gotta say, like, you know, Boat's project here has been I don't want to. It's been an unexpected success.
Right now, active campers 191, offline campers in their assigned system ready to log in 196. So that's near 400 people camping 68 different systems. Also,
and you've only spent 10 billion ISK.
Only 10. Well, we only pay for kills.
Wow.
Remember, we only pay for kills. They're not ready to mining. Here's their solution to solve the problem. Instead of defending their space and putting the numbers to work to defend your space, they have literally said, go rat in a VNI with stabs fit, go mine in a procure. To give you an idea, it takes 10 stabbed VNIs to equal 1 ratting carrier in Delve. It takes 5 procures to equal 1 Rorqual. And the average day in Declan, they make less money than one system in Delve does in the same period of time. Now, to go into the MER, to give you an idea of just how bad it is in Declan right now, I will link you the MER. Now, the MER is, you're going to look at this and go, oh, wow, they're better than May, right? Because they were, just slightly. But we took 2.5 weeks off from the Citizen Squad deployment. They had 2.5 weeks to do any Rorqual mining, any super mining. They were blue to everyone around them, and nobody dropped them. They had 2.5 weeks of unabated no touchy. Then 2 weeks of AFK camping, yet they didn't go above what they made last month.
That is, so I just want to, you know, it's disappointing we banned so many people trying to invade the channel last week that I haven't gotten to shoot anybody yet. You know, my trigger finger is itchy. But one dude who looks like he was talking about how we failed, he's like, S Genie is saying that, well, you've paid 10 billion ISK, and that means that you failed because you haven't killed anything.
Oh, I can tell you what we killed. We've killed 2 Radiant Hells.
well, let's just give it to him. Let's assume that we killed nothing, and let's assume that there was not a single kill,
Right.
and that I spent 10 billion ISK of the Alliance's money on this project, and you turned off an entire region for. You've been doing this for more than a month now?
We're at this is the 4th week tonight.
Okay, so 10 billion ISK to simply just delete a region's production.
Their biggest argument in local, so we have a contest going on. I pay 250 mil a week to the best chat logs from local. Their biggest 3 things. 1, you're spending $1.5 billion per Plex per person to do this to us, so we're winning by default. 2, you can't really stop our VNIs and procures. Hint, it's not a state secret anymore. We want you ratting in VNIs. We want you mining in procures. Hence the numbers I just gave you. And third defense is you can't hit us in Northwest Declan because we're camping this gate. Ha boat, we killed your Covops. A day later, we killed a hill. I mean, I'm just saying. You can't... Declan is too big to defend. It's the reason that Delve works. You can't do a standing fleet in Declan. It's impossible. It takes 4 midpoint sinos to go from one end of Declan to the other. I can get anywhere in Delve in one sino.
Can you expand this program? Like, I mean, it's working out very well in Declan.
So the way our app is designed, thank you, Wild. Praise Wild. I'm going to do it on the Meta Show. I can literally, right now, add 10 systems to the app, press a button, and then press another button, recycle everybody. It would reassign everyone, and all 10 of those systems instantly integrated. So the way the app works is, we have each system in there 10 times. It looks at the system, goes, okay, there's a guy in the system previous. I'll add him to the next one, then the next one, then the next one. It just logically goes down a list. The only way it falls apart is if we're constantly cycling through the people doing this, right? If you have, 50 people camp one day and 50 new people the next day, and 50, it just breaks down, right? But the reason this works... Oh, sorry. Mitten's about to die.
You go ahead, call.
So the reason this works, guys, is you have so many people packed into a region. Declan has 68 systems. 68, right? We have, on average, 8 people assigned per system. So even if half of them don't go to camp their system, there's at least 4 or 5 people in there. It's amazing. So we're going to wait on Mittens. Jay Amazingness, come in, say hi, please. Jay, come in, say hi, please. Come on, Jay. Jay should stop by the chat. Also, I have a phone too. But I guess I can pretend I'm on the phone with someone. So yeah, I mean, you guys want to see how cool our app is? Do you guys want to see the app for NGSA? I guess since we're showing off things. So the Keepstar fight's not going to be for a bit, so we'll go ahead and close that for a moment. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys our new app. So this is the app. This is how I track everyone that's camping. Hi, Jay!
Hello.
I'm just showing them our wonderful AFK camping app and how it works. So, Jay, this is our AFK camping app. This is how it works. If you ever want to do camping, all you do is you log in, and you press this happy little button that says, click here to camp a system. And the system automatically assigns you a system, and then shows you a dotland map of how to get to it. So in this case, I'm YAO. So it should be highlighted, which I don't know if it is at the moment. Yeah, over there. And so it tells me where to go on dotland. And then you just click another button, and it'll take me to dotland and tell me where to go. Yay! That easy. Also, all those names are fake. And then when you click campers, I can report everything. I can put my Jabber name. I can click here to camp a new system. I can also tell it to stop camping. This reporting system goes to a private Discord that none of our enemies can see ever. So anyways, Jay, how's it going, man?
Pretty good. I just finished cooking.
Yeah, you kind of forgot something today.
Yeah, I was super busy, dude.
I know,
woke up at like 12 and I did some move ups and then we did the fleet, so I haven't really had time today to do it.
Yeah, so real quick, we were just talking about NGSA and the monthly economic report. What do you think of NGSA? How do you think it's going?
It's amazing. I think I've been on a few of the kills that we've got because of it.
Yeah.
It's just hilarious because I'm in the Discord channel that you set up, and you just watch the campus. Like every time I log in, it's just like a stream of like 100 messages.
Yeah.
And they're all reporting where everything is.
All right, so here I'll link in chat what an example of because I don't want to show the Discord, but imagine this NGSA thing. I know Mittens is real busy right now, and we'll talk about this when he gets here. There's one of the hell kills. This is what it looks like when they ping Jabber. So when they ping Discord, it does this. And to be honest with you, we do have 2 neutral entities. They will remain unnamed because they've asked me to remain unnamed, who have actually joined that Discord to start hunting GOTG. I can't name who they are because they are truly neutral in this game. And I mean, somebody wants to think about it, they could probably figure it out. But yeah, those guys are soon to be visiting Declan. So
groups want to set up in Declan, and they want cloud campers and signers in every system. Then we could probably.
Oh, I can give them a whole constellation to camp. I can tailor the system. Let's just say they're blue to GOTG. The people going to be dropping GOTG. I can't say who, but yeah. So Jay, I guess we'll talk about this more when Mittens gets back. So I have to ask a question. Could today have been prevented by having subcapitals staged with our supers?
No.
Why not? So you're saying if we had those same 1,000 subcaps ready to go in 6RCQ at 1600, rather than having to move for 2 hours, we couldn't have been there before them and made this work? Like, like a flash form up, like getting there quick and fast and ready to go.
Yeah, you put it like that, I guess so. But the problem wasn't really like our form up. Our form up was very good. It was, I think, probably the largest single Titan fleet ever assembled. We had.
Well, I don't know about that.
I had more than.
It was pretty okay in size.
Yeah, compared to what we've got, it was okay. But we expect better.
I was expecting about another 90 more, let's be honest. 314 for Titans was not what I was expecting. I was expecting about 400, and I was really disappointed in that. It's still on the phone. So, well, I guess we could take questions for now. Instead of going to subscriber only. Let's just take questions for now if you guys want to talk about anything. Because until Mittens gets back, I can't really talk about some of the other topics we have. Because, those involve mocking our enemies, and it's hard to mock our enemies without the king of such. Taking Titan donations. Hey, if you want to donate to the Bigger Boats Titan Fund, by all means, please, go ahead. No, here we go, Jay. Here, we can talk about this real quick. What happened with this? So I'm going to link some kill mails in here. Scooter McCabe says, so NGSA will offer a monthly fee not to be camped to death. Yes, there are currently already people who camp systems who have offered 500 million ISK per day to not camp the system. There is one group in GOTG that has taken up that offer. They're currently paying 2.5 bill a day for one system not be camped. So right here, I see we had a pipe.
I'm back, sorry about
I know,
that.
it's fine. I see we had them, Northern Coalition tried to pipe bomb, but apparently they didn't do the math and realize that they had too many Black Ops battleships, and when they pipe bombed, they killed themselves. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I heard of the command comms. Like, there was like, oh, there's a Black Ops going on the outgate, and I was like, oh, the Jaguars are getting pipe bombed again. And then like the Jaguar FC was like, no, they killed themselves because they had too many.
Yeah, they did. They dropped too many. So for those that don't know, smart bombs hurt yourself. So if you do, like, say, Chemo Fleet, which is smart bombing Tengus, you can only do, like, 8 or 9 of them for 2 cycles, or you kill yourself, right? In this case, they dropped, like, 40 Blops battleships because everybody wanted involved, and then they smart bombed, and then they killed half their fleet. So, Mittens, you're back. But, so for those of you looking at the June the MER, it won't show a big change yet. Where it's really going to show a big change is July. So you have AFK camping, and you've combined that now with an actual war, it's going to be very, very hard for them to go make any money as an individual member. Now, Elise points out that what they can do is they can go other places to make money. And I encourage that. I encourage them to go out of Declan to make money and join other alliances and make money. I mean, Karma Fleet's available, ASCII's available. I'll gladly take their tax income. But one last thing before we move on with those numbers. So to give you an idea, Mittens, about NGSA, Declan is averaging 88,000 NPC kills a day, every 24 hours. To give you perspective on that, one system in Delve hit 96,000 in a day. So that's to give you an idea of just the vast economic difference.
I like the sound of that. Those are good numbers.
Yeah, so a lot of people like to say, oh, well, goons have more than us. One goon system doesn't support 10,000 people, which is what GOTG has as a coalition. No one system in the game can support that. So you can't validate, oh, you have more than us. No, it's called using your resources better. Yeah.
All right, I want to apologize to everybody there.
Fine.
I don't typically, well, actually, so I was going to say I don't typically take phone calls when I'm on the show. Last week, of course, I had the sushi reservation call, and this time I'm trying to work out the logistics of transporting a small sailboat from northern Michigan back to here in Wisconsin. Sort of a birthday present of here, have a sailboat.
I want to give a shout out to our campers because this is a first. I just saw this today. Right now, to give you an idea of what war will do to Declan. You combine NGSA and war, you have what I just linked in chat here. For the first time ever, in a 24-hour time period on a weekend, only one system broke 3,000 kills in 24 hours. That's, what, 10 anomalies in a 24-hour period.
Was that your yacht away from your yacht?
So...
My life is really weird, and so I've been trying to like figure out the logistics of getting. You know, I drive a Honda Civic, and now I'm like I need to get a trailer hitch for this little sailboat. Put on this and like figure out how to get it back, and yeah, it's like it's a whole thing. It's I guess an early birthday present. I guess turning 40, get a sailboat, something like that.
But yeah, so. I mean, what I'm looking forward to is July's economic report, right? Because if you look at exactly 1 month ago, when we weren't camping in Declan and we weren't active with the SIGs, they had 4 systems over 10K, right? Some of them were in the 17,000s. Their highest system right now on this map is 3,600. That's ridiculous. That's dead. There's nothing there. Moving on. Today, I asked Jay this question. I'm going to ask you, Mittens. This is the first time in our history, and I like playing the guy with the outside perspective, looking on like from the rooftops. Okay, this is the first time in Goon's history we've deployed a capital force, strictly a capital force, without deploying the subcaps with it. We've almost never done, I don't think, in our history, capitals only. And today shows an example of something that may have been prevented if, say, subcaps were already staged in a forward system, right? We've been bringing fleets from Delve, okay? It takes a while. You can get waterboarded. It takes time. Could the thing that happened today been prevented by a fleet already in the staging system ready to
go? Talking about the jammer issue?
The jammer issue, yeah. Do you think it could have been prevented?
I mean, we could have prevented the jammer issue if we were, like, if the guys doing the planning had been aware of the mechanics, then the way that we would have dealt with the jammer issue is to just put some dreads in ahead of the time and take the jammers down, or make sure that you have some sort of forces in the systems, the midpoints that you need to take the jammers down as needed. Having a whole bunch of people in the CO2 staging system in advance wouldn't have had anything to do with the challenge of getting your caps to the destination.
Right. I look at it like this. I've been playing this game 11 years. I did not know that the Sino Jammer did not take CPU anymore. Apparently that changed 3 years ago. I didn't know it. ProGod didn't know it. 90% of our enemy fleet commanders didn't know it. And Goons didn't know it. Pretty much all of 0-0 was like, oh, that's a thing. At once. It's something that you can only do once. That'll never work again. Right? Now everybody in EVE is well aware that the Sinojammer works on a POS that's reinforced.
You know,
right?
I thought, you know, we dealt with this kind of crap in the Great War. So, like, this is, I wasn't involved in, you know, to be fair, if I had been there, I would have probably dripped on this too. Like, XTDZ, who's our POS expert, popped up and was like, guys, did you know this? Wibla knew this. It just so happens that this isn't a mechanic that we've encountered in a while. But, you know, this is something that, you know, some people in our brain trust didn't know. And we just screwed up. There are ways around it. We will deal with it going forward. But, you know, if we had known about it, we would have planned for it.
Yeah, like I consider myself pretty knowledgeable.
What up,
about
Kanar?
POS mechanics. I would like to say I know pretty much a lot, and I didn't even think.
Yeah,
about
Kanar knew about it.
Yeah,
as he says, might have germ one. Yeah, I mean, it's a thing that happened a lot in the Great War during POS warfare. So it's just kind of it's a derp.
I got linked a thing during the Great War. I actually using like the Wayback Machine to look at EVE forums, and there was debate 8 years ago about if it still worked or not. We looked at the POS code. They showed patch notes. That was apparently 3 years ago. And it changed 3 years ago, so no one noticed. And that's what happens. But in the wake of that, we saw what some have considered to be the greatest ever Titan and Super fleet online at this single point in space, all blue to each other in the history of EVE.
For now, at least, until they attacked Elf, and then you see an even bigger one.
Yeah,
So-
it is kind of curious to see our deployed numbers because we actually have, I won't disclose it, but we have even more people who are.
Oh yeah, there's
back
way
at
more.
Delve.
Right.
But you know, really, it's all about like there is a long war here that's going on that has nothing to do with the actual mechanics of where the fleets are going and what's being destroyed. It's really like this more macro scale economic arms race where you're attempting to, instead of conquering the enemy's territory, you're attempting to disable their ISK making mechanics such that you can continue to outstrip them in Titan production. So as long as our enemies are mired in poverty, and poverty is relative, right? Like if you can be like, oh well, I've got like 10 billion ISK or whatever, but if I have multiple trillions of ISK, you're poor compared to me.
Yeah,
in this game.
I had to explain this to someone that was asking me, why is NGSA going to work? And I said, imagine a graph, right? And both people are making money, but when one is making his graph is drastically going more vertical than the other person, as time goes on, eventually the disparity is going to be so ginormous that it's unimaginable. Right now, GOTG is not going to be making money, period. Done. There's no way. They're not going to make any kind of near the amount that even Initiative or Snuff is making in Fountain. And this is something Aerith called out during the Tri-War to try to evict XIX. All these people in the South were fighting before the moon change happened, so nobody had infrastructure in place. That meant when the moon change went live, it was us and NC Dot. No one else in 0-0 were prepared for it. Right? NC Dot came on, I don't know if it was Vince or someone else said, look, we're ready, we have the infrastructure set up, we're going to make money. And Eric's like, yeah, we saw that, NC's ready to go, but that's it. We knew PL was not even going to have the ability to make this kind of money. So that's what you're seeing now, right? When people are stuck having to grind out war, only two things make money: rental income or the people not having their homes invaded.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about like the power of renting in the modern EVE environment, simply because there's no real reason for people to rent when they can join. If you want to make money and you want to get rich, why would you rent when you can go to?
Well, I have the answer to that. A guy recently posted, "Hi, I'm a guy that writes a bot program." He posted this to Reddit. He wrote his own bot program. He was a guy who infamously botted in Nixes and lost all 13 of them on the same day in the same system because he messed up. And he points out in his writing, I'm going to actually try to find a link to that, I'm looking for it now, and I would love to have that guy on, but apparently he said his English is really bad, and I couldn't get a hold of him, is that he realized that because of the way CCP is designed, he could just spam Gilas, which are cheap as hell, and bot with 30 or 40 of those, and pull in lots of money.
You can just alpha clone bot with get an alpha clone, transfer a Gila,
right?
Run it on a VM and just run 50 of those.
And that's what he was doing. And he was effectively botted an entire region himself. One guy making 500 bill just for himself, and then paying out rental money. And so for him, botting renting became easier because he didn't have to worry about anyone else. He didn't have to worry about someone reporting him. It's very interesting, thread. So here's the link. If you want to take the time to go read this, it's called Confessions of a Bot Maker. I know several people in the past, personally on both sides of this war, who have used bots and have talked about how well botting works. And it's just easier for them to rent while they bot, because there's no questions asked from your rental overlord. Are you paying me? Yes, done.
Someone is at the door.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. Someone will.
Oh, someone really wants to get in, dude.
I guarantee you it's my nephew, and he can wait, because his father's with him, and it won't matter.
This has been a good meta show for like random interruptions.
His father will be with him, and they're just coming over to say hi. So I don't worry about it. They can come in on their own. But no, I don't know. Aerith points this out about a month ago, that botting has finite limits. Only so many people are gonna rent, right? Unless they're all bots, right? You can't scale renting anymore. There's not enough people. There may be enough space to spread them out like crazy, but when you have, like, for example, FRT has its own little rental group and botting group. Test has its own rental group, and XX is eventually going to have its own rental group again. All these people have their own rental groups. Not all that money goes to the same guy, right? It's not like one overlord who's collecting everything like back in XIX's heyday. So it's interesting to see where all this rental money, it gets divided, right? It gets put everywhere.
I mean, we saw during the casino war that the big source of income that was coming into all of these people was not rental income. It was just a huge
Casino
amount of sort of casino money, exploited ISK, dark money.
Triggers people in PL when you call it dark money.
I do like to call it dark money because essentially, I'll go off on this a little bit because it makes PL very angry, and I want to see if I can get them to try to raid the chat so I can ban them all again. Of course, I might have banned too many.
I mean, Manfred's already here saying that, like, oh, rental makes no money. Keep believing that. No, we're not saying it doesn't make any money. We're saying that it has a limit, right? It relies on people or bots.
PL spent a lot of time perfing lots of orfs about how they're better than everybody else because they're so elite. But all of their ships that they were using to actually try to win wars came from exploited sources that were removed by CCP when CCP banned casinos, and so it's all dark money. It's not a reflection of some sort of mastery or anything like that. They're just sort of skating around in stuff that was keyed off of somebody's gambling addiction. So it is really amusing to see them try to. Yeah, it's sort of interesting to see them try to stick their noses in the air about things. So I'm glad to hear them triggered, especially by Villy referring to the casino war by its proper name, that being the casino war.
Yeah. Well, another thing that's interesting too is Killaby is probably the most open about the fact that, hey, I got paid $1 trillion ISK of dirty money and I didn't care because it all got taken away. The difference being, though, he got to keep the assets, right? Like, he was paid $1 trillion ISK, they took $1 trillion ISK, but he still has his Veminate, which is the giant. Was it the Veminate? Is the giant Titan? Vanquisher. He still has his big, expensive Super Vanquisher. He still has assets that are huge.
We must have just banned them all last week. Like, I went on that little rant. We got a lot of people watching, but I guess they can't speak.
Well, maybe they can't speak because they're not allowed to speak anymore. Maybe they've been gag ordered.
I shot up
by their own people. But here's the thing. PL has its own rental group because its own alliance members have to rent from PL. They cannot make money while in PL. They have to join the rental group and rent systems. Killer Bee told us this on the Meta Show many times, that if they want to make money, they have to go rent their own space, which is something that is... I don't think you could ever tell a goon... I don't know any goon that would ever buy that, like, as a good thing, like, as a...
That was really interesting. You're right. Like, the discussion of renters, like, when Killer Bee was on the show and he was talking about how they were, like, renting systems to their own members that sort of...
yeah, so they could keep other people out. It's like,
we are actually at the 45-minute mark.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and do the subscribers only mode so we can take some Q&As from people and cool kids only.
Thank you, Erection Frog. That was funny. That's the thing. I just don't know. one person points out, and this person says, and this person who posted the screenshot from NC of our Supercat blob says, "Oh, CCP promised me the game would never get too big." It's eventually going to get to that point, I think, where there isn't enough people in the game, but there's enough big shit in the game that I don't think rental empires last. Or if they do last, it's going to be 20 regions that are empty, save renters. Nobody actually lives there. Nobody cares to live there. And it's just a bunch of people AFK making money.
I think renter empires will last. I mean, for as long as people are going to bot or rent. It's just a question of, like, it's not a matter of do they last. It's a fundamental question of what their ISK output is vis-a-vis an in-depth system of regional utilization, right?
Yeah.
Like, so if you fully realize a place like Delve, you can rent out half the galaxy until the servers close. It's just a question of how does that result in assets, hard assets, particularly Titans and Supers, that can be used in a competitive game.
Yeah, let me clarify what I meant. I meant, like, as long as there's botting, there'll be rentals, empires. But if CCP ever gets to the point where they're able to combat bots effectively enough to stop botting, rental empires fall apart. Because the current rental empires, especially FRTs, FRT has openly said, "Hey, we have botters. We don't care as long as they pay us."
I don't see the point. Like, I've done a lot of stuff in this game. I don't see the point where you would be like, I want to go and live in nullsec and make money, but I don't want to join like another alliance. I just want to rent. I just want to pay money that I would make and live in a system of my own.
So if you look at this guy's article he put on our Eve, the best way he worded it is, it was just easier for me as a guy that wanted to just bot and make vast lots of RMT money to do it via renting, because I can go to a back corner place, rent out the whole place, make as much money as I feasibly wanted, and no one asked questions. They just wanted their paycheck, right? He's like, if I had joined a Karma Fleet, or if I had joined another group like Phantom Accord, they'd ask questions. They'd want to know why I'm not on fleets. They want to know why I'm not doing stuff. As a renter, I paid my fees. Nobody talked to me. So if that's your only goal with Eve, is to turn it into a profit, and I'll tell you, I've done the math. You have to be making tens of billions a day just to make what a minimum wage job in the U.S. would pay you. The equivalent of. The only way to do that's botting. You cannot, I mean, either botting or multi-boxing 10 to 15 clients a day. They're just not going to pull it off.
The other thing is we saw a couple months ago how easy it was for like a group like Skill Yourself to take down the XIX renters. You could easily do that again, because no one's going to really defend Brothers of Pangra, or like the Holy Rental Empire. No one's going to defend their renters. There's no incentive.
Red Alliance was doing that for a time, weren't they? They were
Are you going to tell me that NC Superfleet is going to go babysit fucking the Spire?
No, of course not. But that's the point, though. Skill Yourself had an economic reason to do it. They were bought and paid for, and they were pissed off, right? Because they'd been slighted by XIX, and they weren't paid. So when you have a group, an entity that's big enough, that's willing to take money and to do that, then it can happen. But as of right now, there is no one left in the game big enough to want to do that to them, because they're either already blue to PL and NC, or in the pocket of PLNC, or they're with us. There isn't a big enough entity to do what Skill You already did, because as we can see, Skill You is blue to PL, right? There is no more question. That whole rental empire now belongs to PL and NC as a whole, because all these groups answered to PL and NC, Try and Skill You and all these people. There is no more like pretense about it. That is what it is. Half of Eve versus half of Eve. So unless you have someone big enough to go after that group, it just doesn't work. We had a post this week, and then this is a great segue point, because someone brings this up in chat, and they call us the Blue Donut. A guy from Elos Corp, I forget what the name of that corp is, but from Elos Corp goes, why don't Initiative and Snuff just reset the Imperium and stop being the +1? And the thread blew up, and basically it came down to, these people are willing to look at us and go, why don't you guys just break up and fight each other and make Eve better? But they don't look internally. They don't see themselves as being blue. right? They don't see PLNC blue as a problem. They don't see half of Eve being blue to each other as a problem. They just see how successful we are and go, yeah, that's a problem. We need to get rid of that. You know, that sucks. You know what I mean? Yeah, Black Legion, that's it. Mittens, hello.
Hi.
Hi, I asked
It's an
you a
interesting
question.
day today. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, so you were distracted. Okay, so the question was brought to Reddit by a Black Legion guy talking to Initiative and Snuffbox, saying, why did you guys join the Imperium? Why not break off them? Why not make the game better? But he doesn't realize that as Black Legion, he is blue to half the game right now. Why? They never ever
I mean,
look
the
internally.
idea, like, the hypocrisy of the situation
There you
is
go.
stunning. Like, whenever you have coalitions, there's always people who claim to be independent that will say, oh, well, I'm in Triumvirate, or I'm in Black Legion, or I'm in this, or I'm in that, and why aren't you other people who are affiliated with a hostile coalition, why don't you go off and be a strong and independent person? But that just doesn't work in an environment where half the galaxy will decide abruptly to go to war with the other half of the galaxy. You can try to be independent, and you will fall behind the ISK war, you will fall behind the territory war, and you'll get crushed. It is... I mean, that's the thing. People don't understand at the macro level what's going on. They don't want to understand. They believe that they are, independent rebels, and then they pick up a bat phone, just like everybody else does, whenever their shit is under contest. The reality is that in any sort of human conflict, everyone will always call upon every single asset that they have to win. They might, in principle, say that they like having fair fights and that they enjoy having whatever, but in practice, losing fucking sucks, and people always do whatever they can to not lose.
Right, and this might be a horrible real-world simulation, but it'd be like a Chinese civilian or Chinese person pointing at the United States, going, your military's too big. Why do you have such a big military? And then not considering that their military might be 4 times the size of the U.S. right now. You know what I mean? It'd be something like that, where a guy in pandemic... Wow, I'm losing my voice. Fuck. I don't know how. But it'd be like
You've
somebody...
been spinning too hard, dude.
Yeah, it's like somebody in Pandemic Horde going, wow, the goons just have 40,000 people. Like, that number speaks to the hypocrisy of it, right? They always quote, oh, goons have 40,000 people, so they're broken and we need to divide it up. Even today, when one person said, well, when you have all these people in one centralized mega coalition, it's just bad for the game. Not realizing that the other half of the Eve is blue. And for a lot of people will say this too. They'll say, oh, well, the only reason half of Eve is blue is because goons have so many. No, that half of Eve were either people that we've killed in the past, Bob, who splintered and made their own alliances, or we've killed in the past. There isn't, outside of PL, and I think this started with PL back when PL owned Fountain and blamed us for them losing Fountain to Bob. Every one of these groups we've killed. I've killed GOTG a few times and failed cascaded a few of the alliances. I've killed NC 6 times when they were in Tri, right? I've been... a lot of these groups were failed Northern Coalition, the old Northern Coalition alliances, who turned to goons and said, it's your fault we died, you didn't protect us, we blame you. And then this bitter hatred started. Or new leadership in PL who say, look, PL is better than goons, so we're going to hate goons because of principle, because they're newbies. It's like, it just never ends.
We're just going to have to see how things play out.
Yep.
I think that EVE is in a very curious place right now where you are seeing a lot of major forms because it's the kickoff of a big war. And depending on how things go with this Keepstar, you're going to have to see what's the aftermath of this, right? Like,
Yeah.
The Imperium had a huge bump in numbers because of the success in 6RCQ. If the test Keepstar falls, presumably that will energize the Eastern Front. In many ways, what you're seeing here are like 2 separate wars playing out simultaneously, and there is going to be an impact. A success or failure on one side or the other will have some sort of a morale effect, but the real question is just going to be, how do the participation levels stack up over time?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. NC Dot just had a meeting right after this timer was saved. We'll see what the outcome of that, because that'll eventually hit Reddit. So that'll probably be a topic of next week, depending on what they decide on that meeting. PanFam and CO2 have started using World War II analogies, and the French Revolution analogy. CO2's big thing is calling themselves the French Revolution and Vive la Resistance and take down the king, and that was their push today was we're the French Revolution and we're going to bring back the French Revolution. And then Pen and McCord is starting calling themselves the French Partisans and have created a new group to deploy to help the the invading hordes from hitting France. And they're calling themselves the French Partisans. And we're almost out of time, but this is a question that needs to be asked. How is it possible that GigX is still playing? A lot of people have said, well, how do we prove that? The only person that can actually gun the DW Keepstar, the only person on the ACLU list, or ACL list, is GigX. There is nobody else on that list. Nobody else can gun it. The GigX. Obviously, if GigX in the game, you wouldn't trust anyone else to gun that particular Keepstar because otherwise you'd risk another judge happening, right? You've already had it happen once. It's probably not going to happen again, right? So with the GigX playing the game, is it just CCP going, okay, you have a new character, you're fine, go play? Or is it's coming, he'll probably get banned again, it just hasn't happened yet, give CCP time? Like, what is going on here?
I mean, we had a guy in the directorate who had a characters wrongly banned, and it took him like a month and a half to get even a response to. I mean, this just happened. It took him like a month and a half to even get a response, and now it's being investigated and being dealt with. My impression is that CCP's like customer support network is just completely slammed. The challenge with a situation like the GigX is that there was a lot of press in the gaming media about him threatening to cut off people's hands, and CCP has joined this
they joined the gaming alliance.
Yeah, it just sort of like looks bad, but
yeah,
whatever. Like it's not something that I really want to like stick my toe in the water on simply because it's up to CCP what they do. Ultimately.
Well, I ask because there are several people in the game, several prominent people in the game that have been prevented from doing things, either within CCP on the CSM, or they've been prevented from doing things because they're effectively banned. And then they look at the GigX situation and go, wait a minute here. We can't do this, but that's allowed. And then they point to the Fair Gaming Alliance, which is CCP has signed on to say, sorry, CCP has come on and said, look, if we ban one person for something, we'll ban someone else for that same thing. It's fair play within the game. And it brings a lot more people to the game because it also helps prevent toxicity. If you say you're going to cut someone's hands off and CCP catches you, they're going to ban you, right? And that draws in a certain crowd of people to play the game that otherwise might avoid it because they look at RE and go, oh, fuck, I ain't going anywhere near that. Right? And so Rain asked, well, how do we know it's true? No, he had an alliance meeting just a week ago. Obviously, CCP doesn't take anecdotal third-party evidence, but he held an alliance meeting. We all know his voice. We all know it's him. He came out and said, look, it's me. I'm back. I'm playing. This is me. So that's not a question. The question is what happens going forward. I'm not saying they should just up and ban him again, because we've seen people get unbanned in a sense of, look, we banned your one character, go make a new one. But this is an interesting situation. So I'm actually interested to see what happens in this war, because there are more than just the DW Keepstar. There's DO6H, there's the NC.1, there's 7X, there's a couple of low-sec Keepstars just lying there waiting to be assaulted now that Titans work in low-sec. So, yeah, I can see about 8 or 9 Keepstars that might become prime meat for and delicious festivities.
Well, we're going to have to see. I think we are out of time for this week.
Yes, we are.
So we're going to get together next week. I'm not sure whether I'm going to be able to make it next week or not, because it would be in Michigan, and that's why there's all that whole sailboat discussion.
Before we go anywhere, real quick, stay here. Don't leave. I love the meta show, and I know you guys usually are done after this. Don't go anywhere. The Keepstar is continuing to be live streamed. It dies in 1 hour and 38 minutes. Keepstars rarely die. We are bringing you live coverage. We're going to have guests on both sides. Live Shifter is going to go live. And for the first time ever on Imperium News, Pro God Legend himself may be streaming in about an hour's time. and streaming a fleet, something that's never been seen on Imperium News. Pro God Legend asked about doing it. We obviously take streamers from any side of the aisle in EVE because we like content in Imperium News. So you will be possibly seeing that soon. So stay here. Up in about 30 seconds or less, LifeShifter will be live, and we will continue coverage of the Keepstar. So that's what you've been watching in the bottom of the screen. So
we're going to have a lot of huge fights today, so stay tuned, and we will cover them all, and possibly the Pravi one too.
Yes.
All
right, guys.
That one as well.
See you in like 30 seconds. Bye.